All right. Good evening to all, and welcome to the 13th induction into the Ipswich Athletic Hall of Fame. Over all those years we talked about just a few minutes ago, from the 1930s all the way up to this past spring, Ipswich has always been the little engine that could. It's a small school with a big record of excellence. Beginning the first recognition being in 1938 in football, and then up to this past fall, okay, in 2025, our own girls cross country team won the small school division championship. We are interested as a committee in all high school sports, from the ones that get the most notoriety to the ones whose athletes participate with no one watching them sometimes, yet out they come. Over the 12 previous inductions, let's see, my numbers were wrong, so I got to check my friend Bob's numbers here. Like I said, we have had 137 inductees, and again, 44 women, 93 men across, okay, and across all of our athletics. Tonight's class of 8 individuals and 2 teams represents excellence in the sports following sports: football, basketball, lacrosse, softball, wrestling, track and field. We also have tennis teams, okay, swimming, okay, and I don't think there's anything else. I missed anything, Keith? Hockey is correct. Thank you. Okay, and so that's part of that's part of that long history. Now, this Hall of Fame and committee was formed in order to recognize and perpetuate a vehicle to honor these athletes, these coaches, and in our category of meritorious individuals who have achieved excellence in athletic competition. They have achieved excellence in their athletic competition, or guided these inductees as coaches, or gave their energies in various ways to support IHS athletics and teams in the meritorious category. The committee works with great diligence to commemorate this history with this banquet of celebration. At this point, I'm going to try to recognize several previous inductees that we have who are here tonight with us. We have Dr. Kiki Papajotis. We have Drew Weil right here. We appreciate a round of applause. Go ahead. We have Kathy Gagnon. We have Ruben Britt. We have Bob Tobias. Justin Woodworth. We have Steve Faniff. And a few more that walked in tonight. Okay. We have Mo Bowen. Okay. Is Gene Clark in here tonight?
No, Krista Chico is, though.
Krista Chico is here. That's all right. Roger Day. Dan the Bug LaRochelle is here. Okay. If I missed you, would you kindly stand up? I think we got everybody. Whoa.
Chris High.
Chris High. Where's Chris? All right, Chris. She knows a little bit about running, don't you? Yes. All right. Now, just want to make sure that I leave this in the right place here. It's now time to begin our 13th induction. So hopefully I've been brief, okay? Hopefully I've been smart, but right now I'm going to be gone. So, without any further ado, I would like to, now each of our inductees is allowed to have a presenter, okay? So I'll be hopping back up and down to bring up the presenter. We'll know who they're being introduced by. So our first inductee tonight is going to be Sandy Lezon, who is going to be introduced by Elaine Cronin-Bombachi. Please come on up.
Short purple people. Good evening, all. So pleased to be here tonight to introduce Sandy Lezon, a wonderful woman who probably doesn't even know how much she influenced my life and many other players. Sandy was an outstanding athlete here at Ipswich High. From what she told me, softball was her passion, where she was an exceptional pitcher. She was also a standout goalie for the field hockey team and was a star basketball player. I had to research all this information as she is also humble, although her siblings might not agree with that, and did a great job of evading my questions and requests for intelligence for this graduate of the 1964 class. Not a lot of intel on the internet for her. Sandy went on to secure an undergraduate degree in phys ed at BU and a graduate degree at Northeastern. She became an inspiring teacher and spent her entire career at the Bates School Elementary. She was always ahead of her time, looking to improve the curriculums for her students and help them experience different sports and physical activities, and was busy mentoring Salem State students who have since gone on to do great things. This was before it was a norm and expected of gym teachers. She was a trendsetter. She was a 3-sport coach at Salem High School, and although I'm partial to her field hockey teams, it was her basketball teams that really excelled, winning 5 New England Conference championships, and in 1975 were the MIAA finalists. Sandy was very deserving of the Salem News Coach of the Year and was inducted into the Salem Hall of Fame in 1993. And in 1999, she received the prestigious MIAA Unsung Hero Award, the title of which was later changed to Massachusetts Women in Athletics Distinguished Service Award, which is much more appropriate. Sandy came into my life as my kindergarten through 8th grade teacher at the Bates School in Salem. Those were the days of the awesome bake sales. We miss those now. She introduced me to the sport of field hockey when no one in my family even knew what it was, and I was hooked. Coach was so encouraging and such a great mentor that I decided the week before freshman year to go to Salem High School instead of Fenwick, where I originally was enrolled, because she said the sports opportunities were much better there for girls, and she was so right. Our field hockey crew was much more than a team. We were a family. Salem High School started its field hockey team in 1972 with Sandy, and I joined in 1980. Sandy instilled high standards in her ladies, that's what we were called, her ladies, of sportsmanship and fair play. She taught us strong skills in play and in life, but always with humor, and wow, did we have some fun. We were a little bit crazy at times, building player pyramids instead of practicing, sometimes giving her a run for her money, which I'm sure wasn't much from the Salem High School, but it was what it was. She sometimes may have had a little difficulty wrangling us at times. A classic story was how back in the days, for field hockey, we wore those plaid skirts. They were so fashionable. And the refs did as well, and one of them wiped out and had no shorts underneath in her skirt. And of course, we were young and stupid and couldn't stop laughing, and Sandy was so mad at us. But in the end, she couldn't help but turn around and laugh in her hand too, as our comments were hysterical. We won a lot and laughed even more. We played in horrible weather on horrible fields. Sandy loves to tell the story of going to the AD at the time and complaining that her girls had blown up a raft and were floating around the field on it. True story. We could all smell the potatoes. We could all smell at practice the potato chips from Vincent's Chip, which was right next door. And so, of course, we were always hungry, and after our games, our snacks were legendary. We also had some epic parties that Sandy did not want to know about. but I bet she would have loved to have joined. One personal story I remember vividly. I was failing typing, of all things, because I couldn't pass the timings. And if I didn't get my grades up, I wouldn't be able to play. And yes, my mom was a typing teacher. So a bunch of us girls went after school to the makeup class and all did timings with my name on all of them so I could play. Thankfully, the other two typing teachers were our team fans because they totally knew what we were up to. I'm sure Sandy did too. Ladies got to do what they got to do. My mom did not, thankfully. She was working at the middle school at the time. Now that was team building. Danvers was always our nemesis, with Beverly close behind, but by senior year, much to both coaches' surprise, we became good friends with the Danvers girls and would run a Sunday evening clinic in the summer for younger girls and scrimmage after. We were like Sandy, trying to up the involvement in the sports that she inspired us in. And then there was Marblehead. The girls there decided shin guards were optional and not stylish. So you can imagine what us Salem girls' plan was, unbeknownst to Sandy. We went right for the shins. She put a stop to that, but not before we made our point to them. We even made it to the States a couple of times, but never could get as far as we would have liked. But Coach was always so proud of us nonetheless. She called us city kids, which I guess growing up here is kind of true, with all the farms and open space back here. But she also called us the Band-Aid kids, as we were forever getting hurt. But she was our biggest supporter and always encouraged us to do our very best and strive for big things in whatever we were doing. At our yearly banquets at the Old Salem Elks, she gave little awards to everyone, and they were always so funny and silly and inspired by the goofy things we did. As you can see, the common theme here is we had a lot of fun. When I started school nursing, I was covering at the Bates School one day, coming full circle. She introduced me to the principal and said, "This is the nurse we want." She wasn't a big fan of my predecessor. No surprise, she got her way and I got the position. And when I started, she also made sure to gently threaten me, "Don't you dare tell those kids I was your teacher." Didn't want to show her age, I guess. I don't know. I'd be remiss in not telling this very last story, so I will close with it. During a recent conversation I was having with educator friends, we were speaking of a local AD that is doing a really great job, encouraging true sportsmanship and teamwork with his high school athletes. And one of the teachers turned to me and said, "Guess whose teacher and mentor was back in the day?" And I knew exactly who it was. It was Sandy. That about sums it up. She leads by example, and I'm so happy to be here to watch her be inducted into your Hall of Fame. Beyond well-deserved. Please give a hand for Sandy Lezon.
Well, that was my history. That was my speech. Thank you, Elaine. I guess I'm first because I'm the oldest, but actually this is past my bedtime, so yeah. It's definitely past my bedtime. And I'm afraid they think I was asleep. Thank you, Kiki, for nominating me and the Hall of Fame committee for this wonderful evening. The food was great. And congratulations to all the other nominees. It's really quite an honor to be up here. When I learned I was nominated, it brought back many memories and playing sports at Ipswich High School. I still have all my eyes. We had all these eyes to sew on our clothes. I'm even more pleased that at my age I can remember any of this. I realized I found my vocation for life participation on the team with my friends in high school. Working hard to support one another and competing, having fun every afternoon, watching the clock at school, hoping we could get outside to practice or even to play. I learned how to play with winning and losing. I had some great coaches at that time. I believe one of them was here last year or the year before, Mrs. Prince. I was fortunate to play with some girls who could have played at the collegiate level, but girls weren't offered scholarships, and they weren't even any teams on many of the university and colleges. After high school, I went to Boston University Sargent College. Girls in that era had choices of two vocations. You could be a teacher or you could be a nurse. I chose to teach, and I gained the knowledge and skills to be a good teacher. We played intramural sports, and we never got the recognition that the men did. They would come into our dance class, the football players, and they would jump on our feet the whole time while we learned how to dance. We had to do dancing. And, you know, they got all the credit. They played on a great stadium, and we only had intramurals. Many of my classmates from Sargent came to the North Shore to teach and to coach. I landed a job after the Peace Corps teaching elementary school, and you've heard all about that, so we'll skip that part of this. I was very popular as a gym teacher. Just so you know, anybody who's a gym teacher, it's a great thing to be a gym teacher. Having taught for 35 years, I could share many stories. But tonight I wanted to concentrate on one important aspect of my career. Kiki kind of gave me a lead in this, having to do with equality. And we started off talking about equality tonight. Imagine stepping onto a field or a court in 1968. That's how long ago it was. The boys' teams have crisp uniforms, brand new equipment, and regulation-sized fields and courts. The girls, they had hand-me-down gear, fields or courts that didn't meet the standards, and coaches that earned at least 1/3 of what our male counterparts got. That was the reality of girls' sports in 1968. It was an interesting time. I knew in coaching that something wasn't right, something wasn't fair. For example, and we've talked about this too, some of you probably don't, you're not familiar with basketball. But basketball, the original game was 6-on-6 for women. And the center line was a boundary between the 3 offensive players and 3 defensive players. And we were only allowed 2 bounces. So you girls who are getting awards tonight, that was the game. And I was a defensive player, and I never got to shoot, and I was really frustrated. In fact, when the game was over, I kept shooting from the other side, and the coach kept telling me, no, your defense. Why were these restrictions in place? It was because the powers to be thought girls would be too stressed and not have the stamina for full court play. At Ipswich, we played here on the court that's at the town hall now. And I have to say, I really was frustrated playing there because I could throw the ball all the way across. That's probably why I could learn how to pitch. I sort of wanted to play football, but they wouldn't let me. In Salem, I coached varsity basketball, softball, and field hockey. My athletic director at the time asked me to start a field hockey team because we were going into the Northeast Conference. And I was the youngest on the staff of an old group of people, very old. He offered the team of field hockey to me, and he showed me the sticks, and I swear they came from a museum out of the 1940s. He gave us an undersized field. It was 80 by yards by 40, and it should have been 50 by 100. And yes, Elaine already told you about what happened. I arrived at the practice field, and it was a lake. And the kids had put a rubber boat in the lake, my players, and they were using the new sticks with going around. They took that picture though, and they actually used it to point out the fact that, one, the field was too small and it flooded. And I won't ever tell you all the other things that were happening at that park. My first varsity basketball team played on a smaller court than the one here at Town Hall. They had to play, the boys played on a full-size court, and they had stands and they were recognized, and the girls were just like invisible. My classmates from Sargent College, they were in the area and they started complaining, and we started comparing notes. One of my classmates from Peabody High School sued for more money. I would have coached for nothing, but it was important that we were all paid the same. We were fortunate to have an athletic director who recognized what was happening, and he led the way with other athletic directors to making major changes. A major change happened the year my basketball team went undefeated. We won 20 games, and we went to the state finals. And I was sitting on that bench, and I was thinking, we are playing on a boys' court. We have brand new uniforms, and we have stands, and people are supporting these players, which they should be. By the time I retired, I was writing many different recommendations to my players to go on to the university and to colleges. They got to play, they got to be seen, they got the credit that they needed. When we look at the late 1960s, we see more than inequality. We saw our determination of all the girls and coaches who refused to be sidelined. The struggle paved the way for the opportunities that we now take for granted. Title IX took effect in 1972. It mandated equal opportunities for education and for sports. At the time, I just knew it was wrong what was going on, and I guess I was a part of it, but I'm not a rebel. I just like to work, and I wanted my players to have equal opportunity. We need to remember that equality in sports and beyond is never given freely. It's earned, demanded, and needs to be defended. I just wanted to get that out to you all. Thank you very much for this honor.
Don't go away. This is a small replica of you. You've already seen your experience that's going to be going in there. And this is a 10-feet award.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Sam. Next, I'm going to call up Ruben Britt, who is going to talk to us about Toby Goff.
Good evening, everyone. It was great to be back in Ipswich, and I'd like to congratulate all the inductees. When I was asked to speak on behalf of Toby being inducted into the Hall of Fame, I had a tough time trying to figure out what I would say and how I would say it. And I thought about when we were in junior high school. You young folks, it's called middle school today. But we were on our way to gym class, and one of the guys said, "Who's taller, Ruben or Toby?" And as long as I've known Toby, I was always taller than Toby and his cousin Stevie. And so when we got down to gym class, gym teacher, phys ed teacher, measured us. And we found out that Toby was taller than me. He had grown to be 6'3". He went through a growth spurt right before our eyes. And I was 6'2". Now you're probably wondering, why am I talking about growth spurt and 6'3"? But I'm gonna make a point in a minute. When Toby came to Ipswich on behalf of his mentor and coach at the Roxbury Y, Paul Tuck Clancy, he wondered how the people in Ipswich would receive him, as well as his future teammates. And as we know, history has taught us that sports has broken down barriers and created long-lasting friendships. And when he came to Ipswich, he found out right away that the people were very welcoming, and he found out that his future teammates were second to none. As a member of the basketball team, Toby was a starting center at 6'3". And as a 6'3" center, 90% of the centers that he faced were anywhere from 2 inches to 5 inches taller than him. And in each case, he held his own. During Ipswich's first time in the tech tourney in the Boston Garden, we faced one of our Cape Ann Lee arch rivals, North Reading, who was one of only 2 teams to defeat us that year. Toby held the number 2 center and the number 2 scorer in Cape Ann League, who averaged almost 24 points a game, Lance Barstow. He held him to 13 points. Ipswich ended up winning their remaining 13 games to capture its first state championship. The following year, Ipswich continued its winning ways by winning 33 games in a row. One of those victories was against Dover Sherborne, the number 1 team in the state. Ipswich was ranked number 2. And Dover Sherborne's starting lineup was really the size of a lot of college teams. They had 6'2" guard, 6-foot guard. Their forwards was 6'6", 6'5", and the starting center was 6'8". Dover Sherborne led most of the first half by as much as 11 points. But there was a play in the game that turned the game around. Their 6'8" center went up for a layup, and Toby pinned it to the backboard, grabbed the rebound, kicked it out for the fast break, and the rest is history. We ended up beating Dover Sherborne by 11 points. As a member of the team, Ipswich went undefeated in league play, averaging 87 points a game, which was the #1 scoring team in the state of Massachusetts. Against Westwood that year, in his senior year, he scored 11 points in the fourth quarter to avoid Ipswich being upset. For his efforts, Toby was named All-League and honorable mention by the Boston Herald. So before I close, I'm going to share a little poem I wrote about Toby. It's called A Tribute to Toby Goff. And it says, in 1967, to Ipswich he came with passion and purpose and the love of the game. His mission was clear. His heart was set high to lift his team and reach the sky. Through Cape End League courts and tech tourney nights, he battled in fierce fought fights. And come 1969, the dream came true, with victories earned and pride in view. Against the Giants, tall and proud, he stood his ground and drew the crowd. Though shorter than the foes he'd meet, he never backed down, never knew defeat. Fast break flying, crowds on their feet, a winning streak of 33, an unheard of feat. His grit and strong rebounding, his unyielding will helped make the team the state's top thrill. So tonight we acknowledge and give due fame to a person who's honored Ipswich's name. With cheers and claps, let us all proclaim, Toby Goff enters the Hall of Fame. Toby passed in 2015, and accepting the award in his honor is his son, Jamar Goff.
Right between us.
All right, nothing to say. Thanks for the recognition and allowing my dad to be part of the Hall of Fame.
You saw the plaque, this is the and you can wear this with that. Okay?
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, our next induction is going to be for Craig McDonald, also known as the Rat, introduced by Bob Foote, one of our committee members. Oh, I shouldn't leave this out. Ruben is one of our committee members as well.
Thank you. Ruben, tough act to follow. As Rolly said, I'm here to introduce Craig McDonald, our next inductee. I'll start with a little background. Craig moved with his family to Ipswich from upstate New York in the summer of 1975 to our Campanelli Pinefield development. And that fall, Craig entered 7th grade in Ipswich. Fast forward to the spring of 1976, the lacrosse team began its spring practice in behind the Doyen School. Craig, from his 7th grade class and equipment that looked 2 sizes too big, asked Coach Art Carey if he could join our practices and scrimmages. Coach Carey gave him the okay, and Craig's lacrosse career began in Ipswich. The team quickly realized that this kid that didn't look too far away from being a big wheel jockey, and using a twist on Coach Art Carey's famous saying, he could throw, he could catch, and he could play the damn game. That spring was the only time Craig and I crossed paths on the lacrosse field, but we did spend many years playing hockey together, including in the Saugus Monday Night Hockey League and in the Gloucester Industrial Hockey League. I could talk about some of the locker room antics, like the time a visiting team player's hockey gloves ended up in the toilet in our locker room, but I won't. Or I could talk about the time Craig got in a fight on the ice with the goalie, who was his brother, and who was on the same team. But I won't. What I will talk about, getting off topic a little bit, is nicknames in Ipswich, which includes Craig. Over the years, we have known many nicknames of athletes and others in Ipswich. There are names such as Bubba, Kiki, Doc, Jojo, Choppa, Monk, Skunk, Kocha, Skinner, Dinah, Bug, Gump, Matt Rat, Cutchy, Buzz, Crawdad, Fireball, Lugnut, Teddy Bear, Mop, Grubby, Bidge, Poinsy, and Gooseneck, to name a few. There are ethnic nicknames like Yanni, Banu, and Yashu. There are the last name nicknames like Sully, Woody, Frenchie, Smitty, Footy, Stony, Fitzy, Welshie, Mac, Lampy, Set, and Janique. And last are the descriptive nicknames like Styles, Clamma, Slugger, Beard, Barrel, Stump, Stona, Bump, and Brillo. And there's one more nickname which was given on the lacrosse field that early spring of 1976 and continues to this day. Our 2025 Hall of Fame inductee, Craig Rat McDonald. You can read in your program the many accomplishments that Craig achieved on the field or the rink. As you'll see, he most certainly meets the standards to join this Hall of Fame, and I would like to welcome Craig Rat McDonald to this esteemed group. Props, huh?
Yeah.
Rolly's got something for you over there.
Oh, yeah. No, afterwards.
No.
Get with the program. Thanks, Bob. You look good up here. No, you do. You look great. Have you been sick? No, seriously. You do look good. You've been keeping the straight and narrow, living the best life you can live. And frankly, back in the day, I didn't know you drank until I saw you sober. Speaking of nicknames, Bob's Native American name given to him by my brother Mark, the goalie, behind him as a center defenseman, his name was, "Get out of my way, you're screening my view." And that carried over to hockey as well. Seriously, Bob, we've had such great times, you and Mark and I, over the decades playing hockey together. And just up until the last 2 or 3 years, as our career is winding down, still playing Monday nights at Hockeytown. That place, ugh. It's a meager existence that we shower in water this deep twice a week. It's horrible. But it's gross as it is, the surface of the ice is therapeutic. We've been skating together for 44 years now at that rink. We've had the 740 ice time for 44 years. Same core 20 guys. And this year they pushed us back an hour. To me, that's a career-ending shift. Yeah. We also played for the Brunies farm team and the Gloucester Industrial Hockey League, which was gnarly. You're either with us or against us, and everyone we thought was against us. I guess starting hockey at 3.5 years old in the semi-covered horse barn at the state fairgrounds in New York State in Syracuse, cold winter. I think 60 years of that sport's about enough. This was my first hockey stick. And a long lineage of hockey and lacrosse was in our paternal bloodline. Our father, Donald McDonald Jr., played for the varsity lacrosse team at Syracuse University and became a prominent lacrosse referee in NCAA men's Division I, Division III, and high school levels. I gained great knowledge being a ball boy at the end of the field with my brother, watching the best of the best while my dad reffed Syracuse University, Cornell, Ithaca, Oswego, to name a few. He also refereed hockey in Division I, Division III, in high school. He was the head referee for the New York Athletic Conference. And Mark and I used to grade the referee applicants' tests with a little plate, and so Dad would be off reffing and we'd be correcting tests. Our grandfather, D. Earl McDonald Sr., so his name was Donald McDonald. He didn't even go by that name. He went D. Earl McDonald. And then he names his son Donald McDonald Jr. They threw me a bone. My middle name's Don. Yeah, my grandfather, he played for the 1921 through the 1924 Syracuse Crescent lacrosse team. We have a picture of him. He's 6'3". I don't know what happened to me. Yeah, I was 6'3" when I first got married. There's a picture of him. He's the only white man in the picture. It's all Onondaga Indians. It's classic. He also played for the Ottawa Senators in the NHL before the Great Depression, and they went bankrupt. So we didn't have much choice, and we took it on with vigor and dispatch. Our mom, she trained the racehorses at the New York State Fairgrounds and the track before the morning light, would drive back home, get us off to school, and then after school she would drive us back to the State Fairgrounds for hockey practices. We moved to Syracuse in '75. The big factor of moving here was that they had hockey and lacrosse at the high school level, and youth hockey. So Mark jumped in his junior year in goal in hockey and lacrosse, and I was in the youth program. And yeah, Art Carey looked at me and said, "Sure, you can come up and play with us for a little bit." And by the end of that year, '76, I actually got on the field, a 7th grader playing for the JV. Yeah, it's fun. Ipswich, it's a town where athletic prowess is measured not just by the scoreboard, but how we came together as a team, each and every one of us. Starting with, keeping the secret about Rocky, the bus driver, and how many donuts he would do in the hockey parking lot to wake us up for 6 a.m. practices. In the bus, like really. And we're a team. It was from there to the fights on the ice or on the field or in the stands sometimes, but things have changed, fortunately. We didn't need climate-controlled training facilities. We had the brutal reality of the mile lane loop run, St. Joseph's Church parking lot as our spring field until the snow melted. Ground balls and potholes, just not a good look. Yeah. I owe a lot of my success in lacrosse and hockey to my dad, to my brother, who played here in hockey. He was a big fish in a big pond in Syracuse and came here, and you're not going to walk on as a goalie, so, but he made his name. I slid in. Everyone thought I was from the other elementary school. And yeah, I had the long hair because we grew up really close to the Onondaga Reservation in Syracuse, and that was the look, the long hair. Art Carey gave me the name The Rat, which I actually welcomed because my grandfather didn't like my long hair, and he said, "Get your hair cut, Sally." And my uncle, reffing one of the games, brought it. "Get over here to face off, Sally." And so, Sally from Syracuse it was. I'll take Rat any day. Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, my brother, he just hung up his pads 2 or 3 years ago, and now I have to learn how to score again. With them, the coaches I had, Art Carey, he was demanding of our unwavering attention, of our respect, and for us to be the best we could be. Like Bob said, he would say, if you can't catch, you can't pass, you can't play the damn game. Many of us on the team just starting out were a little intimidated by that, but he taught us the right ways. Coach Hinckley was always around, very, very positive. Wendell Crawford, our hockey coach, he suggested I check out Oswego State University, which I did, and both coaches there, the hockey and the lacrosse, they welcomed me, and I ended up, because of them and Jim Martell, and another good coach, they were all part of my foundation, my teammates, my friends, to being able to play at a higher level after college, Oswego State University, and thereafter I had a cup of coffee with the New England Blazers professional indoor lacrosse team until I was the last cut on the team. The coach, Ron Frazier, his son was on the team too, and naturally they chose his son over me. I thought that's not right. He was Rookie of the Year and MVP of the league at the end of the season. So. All right, yeah. So this was my original lacrosse stick. That's how old I am. Many of the things that I learned from my coaches I kept with me, and I went on to coach at Boston College from 86 to 89, the Division I men's lacrosse. And then later in life, things changed. I went from Division I men's lacrosse to U6 girls lacrosse. Coached my daughters. Being inducted in the Hall of Fame is surreal. You start to think about your legacy, and I hope my legacy isn't just about goals scored or games won. It's about the spirit of the game, the lifelong camaraderie, the resilience, the unforgettable memories we made together on those hollowed, slightly uneven Ipswich fields and the sloped hockey ice surface on one half of the Newburyport hockey rink. We used to call it the Hill. So thank you to the selection committee for this incredible honor. To the inductees, congratulations. Thank you to my family, to my teammates, fans and friends, to Lucy, who really doesn't like sports at all. And to everyone tonight, let's raise a glass to Ipswich Athletics. May the fields be forever green, may the rivals be respectful, and may the ice rink always tilt in your favor. Thank you.
It's a picture that's on your flag. Your flag will go up in
That will never be late.
It's all yours.
Thank you, sir.
That's a pin. Awesome. It indicates that you are now inducted.
Wow.
Welcome to the club.
Thank you, my friend.
All right, next on our list is Mr. Jim Bodwell is going to be inducted by his good friend Eric Drown.
Good evening, everyone. There's a lot of friendly faces here. It's been a long time being here, but I just want to congratulate all the inductees. It's a big honor, and I hope you enjoy that. So obviously, my name is Eric Drown. Tonight is a special night, not just for Jim, but for myself, because Jim is like a brother to me. He's always been a brother to me. And I've witnessed firsthand through the ups and the downs, dedication I've admired, and whose achievements have gone from his playing days on the court and the field to now being an amazing father and a role model for his boys. That someone is James Everett Bodwell III. When Jim called me to break the news of his induction, he had no hesitation to ask me if I would introduce him. To me, that was an honor I could not say no to, simply because the person who should be standing here had left us early. I can hear him now saying, "Bonesy, do this for Jimmy. Tough shoes to fill, but I will do my best, Big Jim, so here it goes." I had the privilege of sharing both the court and the field with Jim. We've not only played side by side, but we have built memories, faced challenges, defeats, and of course, celebrated many victories together. To me, he is not just a Hall of Famer in talent, but more importantly, friendship. I will never forget the first day we met. We are none other than Don Bosco, the holy land of over 30 softball. If you grew up in the 80s, you know over 30 softball wasn't just something our fathers did. It was their identity. They treated those games like Game 7 of the World Series, except with more arguing, more Bud Lights, and absolutely no stretching ever. Don Bosco is also where Winthrop and Doyon kids first started mixing together, which back then felt like a social experiment that probably needed adult supervision. But somehow it worked, well, mostly. And that's where I first met Jim. Lanky, quiet, and wearing his hat crooked like he was trying to start a trend that never caught on. To this day, I still don't know why he couldn't wear it straight. Maybe it's because he's a lefty. And lefties live in their own world, where the laws of physics apparently bend differently. But one thing was clear right away. The kid was an athlete. And as athletes, we found our way to any field, court, patch of grass, where something could be thrown, caught, or kicked. We grew up competing together, side by side. Not as one chasing the other, but as two kids who push each other every single season. Little League was with the legendary Tigers dynasty under Mr. Eaton. Pop Warner was with Coach Double D, who believed sprinting solved everything. Saturday mornings were basketball at the YMCA, and middle school hoops with Mr. Yen, and travel ball with Mr. Flynn. Whatever the sport, whatever the season, Jim was always right in the mix. A leader, a competitor, and occasionally being a normal kid on a Sunday. Then came high school. And while most kids try to focus on one sport, maybe two, Jim decided to take on three: football, basketball, and baseball. And I know firsthand what kind of grind that was, because I lived it too. It was not easy. It took commitment, stamina, and the ability to function on way less sleep than any teenager should. Being a student athlete is tough. Being a three-sport student athlete is on another level. But Jim embraced it. He worked on the field, on the court, and in the classroom with the same intensity. And for that, he'll always credit his parents, Jim and Nancy. They pushed him to be the best, supported him every step of the way, and taught him that with work and dedication, he could create his own opportunities. During the mid to late 90s, we were unbelievably lucky to have the coaches we had. They taught us more than just sports. They taught us discipline, grit, humility, and occasionally how to run laps in the rain for doing something stupid. We had the legendary Coach Welch, who ran practice like a military operation with always life lessons. We had the late and dearly missed Doug Woody Woodworth, who was equal parts coach, comedian, and therapist. And then we had no-nonsense Steve Hopping. And I myself love Hop, and the only reason I call him no-nonsense is because Hop absolutely did not appreciate, during a game that we had, and I'm not going to name any names, but there was a long home run hit to left field. Our left fielder decided that it was a good idea to jump over the fence into a somersault and get up and come back on the field. We lost that game. But that brilliant decision earned us all cycles after the game in the pouring rain. Thanks, Jim. But under those coaches, we played in some credible teams. CAL champions, deep runs into the state tournament in both basketball and baseball. And Jim racked up some serious recognition, especially his senior year, enough to earn him a spot to play college football. And he deserved it every bit. But I want to be honest. All the awards, all the championships, all the newspaper clippings, none of that compares to what I think is his greatest accomplishment. His biggest feat has been becoming the kind of father his boys can look up to. A true role model. Someone who shows them every day what hard work, character, and heart really look like. I believe legends aren't just defined by the stats or the trophies. They're defined by how they lift the people around them up, how they show up when no one is watching, and how they stand by their friends long after the final whistle. Jim has done all that. So with tremendous pride and gratitude, I'm honored to present my friend Jim as the newest inductee into the Ipswich Hall of Fame.
All right, first, it was a scrimmage before the tournament against Gloucester. And him and Brad Eaton were in the outfield with me. They were the ones that were laughing that caught Hop's attention, and it got me in trouble. So, thank you. Oh, all right. First, again, congratulations to all the inductees. Appreciate it. Being here with you, and thank you to the committee. I truly appreciate it. I don't think I've been in here since my junior prom. And being on this campus, I'd be remiss if I didn't take a second to say thank you to Father John Gavastis. He was a confidant and true mentor and leader to me as a young Greek Orthodox boy. I didn't spend a lot of time here. In fact, I ran home from Sunday school once upon a time. And but him and I, we made a deal that if I showed up to church twice a month, I could play on the Goya team and bring home a championship my freshman year. And that was until Doug said, nah, no more, because he's got to play varsity. So, this honor, it's brought me down memory lane. For those who don't know, I live in Alpharetta, Georgia, a long way away from here. I never envisioned myself ever moving, but that's where home is. This is always my heart, though. But yeah, so this is really a reflection of the foundation that's community built for me, and more importantly, what I've been able to do in my journeys, whether it was living in Florida or living in Georgia and raising a family with my wife Genesis. This town gave me the values to go do that, and I truly believe that I represent, and I'm proud to represent Ipswich, and take Ipswich with me to the communities that I'm a part of now. My goals tonight, one, to display gratitude and appreciation to my coaches. Two, to tell my teammates who may or may not be here what they mean to me, but especially Brad and Eric. Show my boys that I was all right once upon a time. And of course to say thank you, to my family. Eric referenced that I was quiet. If you taught me or coached me, I was quiet until I was frustrated. But two things that have evolved. I'm quite the talker now with being in sales, and I'm also a bit of a crier, so I apologize. First, the coaching. Eric alluded to it. What a time in the 80s and 90s. I mean, off the rip in elementary school, Rolly and of course Doug and Glenn just started shaping us from the beginning. And those guys coached us in all facets of our athletics. Of course, Jack Welch, obviously the legend that he is, it's truly his tree. But in addition to that, now I see Mr. Lamson and Mr. Nyland as well here on the basketball side of things, and even a young Alan LaRoche when he came to Ipswich. The coaches that we had, first of all, I never thought that college would be in the cards for me. My aunt Diana went to Salem State. That was it, period. Coach Welch opened my eyes to the opportunity that I could do more. And the fact that I went to school to be a PE teacher at Springfield College, it's because of all of those guys. I truly wanted to be just like them. The character, what they provided to me from a leadership perspective, there's no question, why wouldn't I want to be like Jack or Doug? I took a different path, but even today, I'm in technology. I won't get into it, but it's complicated stuff. But I run teams, and the way that I coach style-wise, I coach our teams and how I interact with our leadership teams. Every lesson that I learned from all of the guys, they're with me every single second. I think about Doug a lot, and I'm not going to steal the basketball team's thunder, nor Justin's, but Doug meant a lot to me as a coach. He had to be really patient. I had to learn what that patience was. I'm sure you guys talked, and I just wanted to run, and play a wild style and be on the court. But he cut me loose when the time was right. Another thank you. I'm throwing this story in. My freshman year football camp, Camp Good News, I'm not feeling great. I got a fever. I'm not feeling good. And Eric gave me, as a sophomore, because he's been here, he's been there for a minute, he's done camp once. Yeah, just lay in bed. Just go ahead. Just come to practice. You're not feeling good. Well, next thing I know, Doug Woodworth is kicking in the freshman dorm, kicked the door in, dragged me out of bed, and that was pretty much it for my freshman year of sports. But Doug and I got close after everything. Wrote me recommendations for jobs. We'd run into each other down Cranes, and he'd play with my son Kendall as if he was Justin or Jenna. And he was an amazing person. That was quite special to me. And thank you to all of my coaches. Then my teammates, and I'm just gonna. This is my chance to tell Eric and Brad, what they mean to me. Because you don't have, I'm going to be 45 in a couple weeks. You don't have 40-year friendships. And I have that with both of those guys. I grew up in their homes. Again, went to battle. One story that's really funny was, Eric's senior year, we show up to play Linfield, at Linfield. Snowing. This is basketball. And we're about to get off the bus. Doug stands up and he says, Linfield got suspended. The whole team got suspended. And, 99% of the team was laughing and joking that we're gonna coast and beat them. And we had to play their JV team, who ultimately went on to win a championship a couple of years later. They might have been better than their varsity. And, Eric and I stood shoulder to shoulder. And we got down. I almost started a riot, jumping for a loose ball in front of, the varsity bench, and guys like Harold Roy are in the stands, and I was pointing up at them, and, it got hairy for a second, but, standing shoulder to shoulder with Eric in moments like that and coming together and lead the team, those moments are special. Or, I'd give anything to go back and be in a huddle with Brad and him telling me to get in the effing end zone, or there's just no questions about it, just get in the effing end zone. Here calling a 121 waggle, I'd give anything to go back and feel that. But, all the wiffle ball, all the backyard football, I told him I was going to say this, but so with Brad, he's a very competitive guy, an incredible athlete. First of all, the two of them pushing me is why I'm here. I mean, I got a 20-game winner in Eric as a pitcher for Ipswich, and then all of Brad's accomplishments. It's really hard to keep up with those guys, and I was able to at least stay within stride with them. But, with basketball, Brad's a hockey guy, so winter sports. Basketball, we play in the driveway, and I'd say 95% of my toughness didn't come because I played 3 sports and played football. It's because Brad would get mad that I'd drive by him and he'd hip check me into his parents' garage every single time I went to the hoop. But those are special moments, and I just love those guys like brothers. My sister's here, and she's my sister, but those two guys are truly my brothers, and I'm proud to be best friends with both of them, right up until this day. Again, we've been through ups and downs and everything around. And moving on to the boys to show them that I was pretty good. So, it was, first of all, it was Little League, yes. Domination with the Tigers in Little League. In fact, my dad coached with Larry as his assistant. They stayed and coached when we were 13 and moved on because they wanted to keep winning championships in the Ipswich Little League. We weren't even in Little League anymore. With football, youth football, I didn't start playing until I was in 5th grade. I mean, Kellen's he's in 4th grade right now, and he's already played 2 seasons of tackle football. I didn't start until I was 5th, but my grandfather, who was everything to me, he'd take me to all, we'd go to Danvers and Salem and the prep, and we'd go to that was Saturday, get in the car after some Marty's Donuts and go watch high school football. I've always loved the game of football. I hated basketball, absolutely hated it. I had friends like Kevin Nyland and Eric. These guys were like NBA players to me. Like they loved basketball at a really early age and were incredibly talented on the basketball court down the Y. And my dad was like, "You're gonna go to the open tryout night thing at the Y," and I'm like crying. I'm like, "I don't want to go. This game's so stupid. I'm a football player." Sound like Happy Gilmore. And he dragged me down there, and I loved to steal the ball from everybody. It was like my chance to play football and make interceptions. Couldn't make a layup. I loved the fast breaks. But basketball ended up being like the sport of the 3 that I truly loved and was my complete passion. Getting to high school, I cut my teeth I told you about my freshman year. Doug nixed my freshman year, which it's a valuable lesson that I share with the boys. Kendall has 7:15 meetings on Mondays after his Friday night games, and there's just no way you're not gonna be at that meeting. And I think of Doug. As a sophomore, I started to cut my teeth, played some varsity, and junior year relied as a starter. In all three sports, playing with these guys. And then my senior year, it was. You don't think about how fast it flies by, But the end are the kind of the things that I think about today. The last time, we lost my first round as a senior, a home game, to Minutemen in basketball. I scored a few points in that game, and we fell short. And I remember the scoreboard turning off, and I was like, oh my God. I think about the last Thanksgiving game as a senior. You think about those ends, and they're not great, but I'm fortunate to be here tonight because I get to, have this be, the bow on the present of, what was my brief run between the years of 1995 and 1999. And I'm, happy to have this moment to come up here. I'm very appreciative of Eric introducing me. It was eloquently said. I appreciate everything that you said. Yeah, Don Bosco, hadn't thought of that, but it's truly where we met, and the three of us would completely run amok. Playing wiffle ball on the tennis courts and trying to catch that snapping turtle. If you've ever been down there, that's a myth of a 20-foot, 120-pound snapping turtle down at Don Bosco. It's probably still swimming around today. So boys, Dad was okay. I can still go for 20 if needed. Can barely throw a baseball. The arm's shot. I wouldn't dare put the pads on. I cannot cover my son, Kendall, for the life of me. He is way faster than I ever was, and I'm really proud of my boys. But that brings me into my family, and I'll finish with my family. This is where the crying would happen. But if you know my dad, this meant everything to my dad. I lost my dad almost 2 years ago. And this is all for him. Not just me being up here. Everything I did was to impress my dad and, make him proud. Same with my grandfather. They had no chance. It's funny, we live in Atlanta, but he was a Boston Braves fan. So I was always a Braves fan. I say to my friends in Atlanta, I'm a true Braves fan because of my grandfather. But those two guys, this is everything to them. I purposely, my mom probably thinks that I'm just going to talk about my dad and just talk about my grandfather. Same with my Aunt Diana. But, you never forget your mom running down the sidelines when you've broken an 80-yard run, and you look over and you see your mom running the sidelines right alongside you. So, yes, as Eric said, it was a combination of my mom and my dad. When my dad passed, I said, not jokingly, that the only thing that matters is I was a Hall of Fame athlete in my dad's eyes. This is all right too, though, and I hope he's really proud of the fact that, like Eric said, I put it all in on three sports. I don't know how it is in Ipswich, but down in Georgia, they push you to play just the one sport, or at least have the break. Now, I'm certainly not up here if I didn't play baseball, basketball, and football. Being a co-captain with Brad on the baseball team. Now, speaking of that, I'm sorry if I'm going over, but our senior year, we didn't think we were going to do anything. Brad almost got in a fight because Linfield took my knee out at first base, turn a double play. I think we went 9-11. I remember I got a call because I was working for Mr. Dalton, and I got a call that we made the tournament. We had turned our uniforms in. We had a cookout up Little Neck at Larry's place, and we made the tournament. And it was like, all right, guys, we got to get our gear back, and we went on an absolute run. And we got to the semis. we lost to Newburyport, but it was amazing to be on that 19 seed Cinderella team that had to wake up the day after prom and show up over in Triton in 103-degree weather and win. We beat Wilmington, who was like the 2 seed, and Eric was there. He had just got back from his freshman year of UConn, and it was a big moment. I'd come in, kind of held it down while we rallied and had a comeback, and Steve was not too happy. I had a couple of guys on base or something, and he just tells Eric, "Go talk to your buddy." So Eric comes out. I'm like, "What is Eric doing? Coming out for a mound visit? He's obviously not even a coach." He's like, "I think he was in the stands." And I'm like, "What's up?" He's, "Hop said get this guy out." All right, bud. Thanks for the advice. But yeah, I mean, with baseball, that was a special run with Brad and everything we did. The two, with Eric too. I love sports. I just love to play. I was telling Alan LaRoche earlier. I was like, the first thing I thought of that I had to come up here was, it's about basketball season. I think they're gonna have open run that I can go play. Like that's where my mind was, and I think that's just who I was as an athlete. I just love to play. Doesn't matter where you are. I was at my son's prep rally the other day, and they played 5-on-5 against the teachers, and I tried to come down from the stands and play. That's just who I am. It's how I'm wired. It's how I grew up in this town. That's what I did, and made my dad proud. Made my whole family proud. I got a big crowd, and just want to say thank you to all of you for being here and helping me, take a look back at my success, our team's success, and appreciate everybody. It's great to see all of you, and congrats again to everybody who's been inducted, and thank you to the committee.
I meant to ask from the previous, when Bob was up here, raise your hand if you knew anyone that had those nicknames, the real person who had anyone? Okay, Mel's table knows. If you're curious, ask Mel. All right. All right, the next inductee is Megan Berry, who is going to be introduced by Mandy Zagorowski, a great coach in her own right.
Good to see you. I want to first thank the committee because I think they did an excellent job with the book and telling all the athletes here that are getting inducted, telling their story. So thank you for doing your homework on that. I know it's not easy. And like some of the other presenters that are introducing the players here tonight, I had to really sit and think, because when you've known someone for as long as I've known Megan, it was a little difficult to figure out what do I want to talk about. I grew up with Megan's sister Tracy, so I was 16 when Megan was born, and I've been a part of her life, obviously her entire life. I've watched her play sports. When she was playing youth sports, I knew right away she was very just really special, and anything she did, any ball that she picked up, it almost seemed effortless. So I got a call one day, and at the time I had an 8-year-old. I was at a preschool meeting for my daughter, who was a 4-year-old, and my twins were 3, and it was Shirley calling me, telling me that the Ipswich High School varsity basketball job was available, and she thought I should apply. And as I was talking to her, my 3-year-olds were pulling the fire alarm. The teacher was asking me about my daughter, if she had a voice at all. And my son was aggravated because I didn't have him over at the football field in time. But I'm so glad that she did, because although my kids were young and I was a little bit worried about taking the job, it was the best thing best choice that I've ever made. I was worried about taking care of my own kids, but Megan was a huge, and and Molly they were just both a huge reason behind it. And when I became a part of the community and started coaching, I realized just truly how special Megan, who I'm talking about first, how special she really was. She was injured her freshman year, as most of you know, and a little over half of her junior year. And I think it's easy to say after you read about what she was able to accomplish, what would have happened, if she played all 4 years. But I never thought of that, because I feel like what she did accomplish was so much, and so much more than basketball. She was, I don't think I probably would have stayed coaching if it wasn't for just what she actually taught me. She taught me about making other people better. She taught me how to take adversity and work through that adversity and be happy for other people, and how to join a team in a different way than what she was so used to. She led by example all the time, so for her to not be able to lead by example and have to kind of coach on the sidelines and encourage her sister and not do what she was really comfortable with, because she was comfortable with the playing aspect of it. I think sometimes you have a quiet leader and you have somebody who leads with their voice a lot, and Megan led by example. And she was the type of player that everybody wanted to play with, and I don't think that's easy to come by either. I think sometimes when you're that good, not everybody wants to play with you, and everyone wanted to play with Megan. She made everyone better. She made everyone feel empowered. She made them feel like they could do more than they can do on the basketball court, and she was kind about it. She was a player that if we were up 20 or down 20, I wanted to leave her in. I didn't want to look like we didn't have sportsmanship or anything like that, but if I left her in, she was going to get everybody that didn't often get the ball, she was going to give them the ball. She was going to get them set up for a shot. She was going to make them feel like I'm more than just being here at practice, and I'm a big part of this team. And that, to me, is what translates to your adult life, and how you're going to integrate in your job and raise kids and friends. And all of her friends that are here tonight are a good representative of that, because she was able to make real friendships, not just teammates, with over the years, over the 4 years. I would go to the All-Star meetings, the All-League meetings, and as soon as I walked in, I didn't even have to nominate Megan. Other coaches would nominate her and talk about her as a player. And to be so unassuming yet make such an impression and have so much success with what she was doing, that's the quality that follows you through life, and it's so important and so impactful. And it was being my first year coaching, my first couple of years coaching, whether she was injured the first year and just all league as a sophomore right away, which it's not easy to do that coming off of an injury, especially a year-long injury. I can remember I had been introduced to Hugh O'Flynn early on. I hadn't met him before, Dr. O'Flynn, and saying to him, is she really going to be out for like the whole year? It's the first thing I said to him. I was like, you break your leg, can't you come back a little sooner? And he was like, it's going to be the whole year. And it was devastating to her at first, because obviously she was looking forward to coming and playing, and especially with her twin sister. So to hear that news and then be able to turn it around and having such an incredible impact overall on the history of Ipswich High School basketball, I think is it's really a huge accomplishment. And I can't say enough about the culture that she created. I was coming in, I was rather young. I only had a year's experience as a JV coach at Hamilton with kids that pull fire alarms. So I really wasn't, I was a little nervous myself about walking into that and what the expectations would be. But having her there, whether she was playing or not, and the culture that she was able to help establish with hard work, with just being a great teammate, with, when she was playing, they were double teaming her, they were face guarding her. I would hear other coaches say, be rough with her, get her out of her game, be really physical. And she just never batted an eye. And their game was almost so smooth that when she was playing, it didn't necessarily always stick out. But then if I took her out of the game, you noticed things changed drastically. And that was in every way. If she was, she was an incredible three-point shooter, and I feel like then we didn't hear a lot about great shooters. Now everyone's shooting. Everyone's got a shooting machine. Everyone's, getting fed the ball, and they want to be able to shoot threes. That's the big thing, right? I'm a three-point shooter. And back then, Megan could shoot the three, and it was so smooth. And, again, it did seem effortless, but yet she was putting so much time into her game. She was very committed to working hard and feeling prepared. And if I said, hey, Megan, they're going to take away your three, that's the first thing that they're going to do, so you're going to have to go by and use your pull up or get all the way to the basket or find someone, and whatever the situation presented, she could read it. She could see it so far in advance that it's one of those minds that I definitely feel like you can't teach. And I think in life we all, some of us have that experience with, we're just really smart in one thing. We can do something that maybe, or we see things that other people don't see, but then to see her that actually translate into the game and her to use it in a team sport, not just individually, was pretty special to be a part of. So I feel really fortunate that she was, I was blessed enough to be there to coach her and be a part of what she was able to accomplish, and then go on to college and play despite, being held back in some AAU exposure opportunities. She was still able to go off and play in college, and the tone that she set for the team and the expectations and her quiet leadership, so like I said, unassuming, is really special. So this award, I think for her and for me, says it doesn't matter how long you play, it doesn't matter how much you do something, it matters what you do within that time that you have the opportunity to get out there and play and affect other people's lives. And definitely Megan's translated way beyond basketball. So congratulations, Megan. So proud of you.
All right, thank you, Mandy. Good evening. It's an incredible honor to stand here and be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I'd like to congratulate all the other inductees as well. It's a privilege to celebrate this night with all of you. It's even more special to share this moment with my twin sister, Molly. Growing up, whether it was on the court or the field, everybody was trying to guess like who was who, which one's which. But tonight, with both of us being inducted, there's nothing to worry about because you can't get it wrong, since we're both here. My athletic career really shaped who I am today. A lot of what Mandy had said, I had to learn perseverance really early on. From all our injuries, our rehabs, our comebacks, those big moments, all of those lessons didn't just make me a better athlete, they made me a better person. And growing up, being a student athlete prepared me very much for my successful career in sales. Everything that got instilled in us early on in Ipswich, the hard work, the teamwork, the communication, discipline, bouncing back after rejection, really has transpired in who I am today in my professional life. And if you can handle playing on a torn ACL, I'm pretty sure I can handle a tough year in quota. I'd like to especially thank my parents for all their support over the years, Shirley and Dan, driving me to countless practices and games during the week or on the weekends, cheering from the sidelines no matter the score. But you guys were always there, and sometimes longer in the car than I was ever on the court. And I wouldn't be standing here without your encouragement, patience, and love. So I love you guys very much. My siblings, a couple of them are here tonight. Thank you for all your encouragement, shoulders to lean on. Molly, for all the healthy competition, you always pushed me to be better. Growing up with you made everyone sweeter, and every rehab and setback that we had to go through better because we were always doing it together. And I'll always be so lucky to have you guys all in my corner. Mandy, thank you for always believing in me, challenging me both on and off the floor. Coming back to coaching with you after college taught me a lot about myself, all the patience that you definitely had to have, especially with a lot of the crew that was in here tonight. But it really gave me another appreciation to the game and the people that invest in it. I have a list of coaches who had a huge impact on my career as well, and they were very instrumental in my growth. I've carried lifelong lessons to this day that they've instilled with me when I was little, and I'll continue to do that with my family, or grow as I will do with my family. To my teammates. We've heard this quite a bit tonight, but thank you for trusting me and supporting me and making every game and practice so memorable. I'm very happy we did not have social media when we were growing up. I've always been so lucky to be surrounded by such great teammates, whether it was on the court or the soccer field. But growing up in Ipswich, you learn quickly that it's not just about the game, it's really the community. And I think we all kind of felt that when we walked in here tonight. Your teammates become your best friends and your biggest support system. And that's what makes the Ipswich community so special. These bonds last a lifetime. And there's quite a few tables here that really show a perfect example of just how these bonds are. My teammates are my best friends today still, and I might not be 40 yet, but we're gonna get there. I love you all, though, so thank you for being here. Thank you to my wife Meredith and our son Mac and the whole Berry crew for all your love and support and being my biggest cheerleaders now. Mac has 2 Hall of Fame moms now, and we just need him to decide if he's going to be a righty like me or a lefty like Meredith. And maybe play a game of horse. And lastly, thank you to the Hall of Fame committee. This is an incredible honor, and I'm very humbled to be recognized along so many amazing athletes and leaders from Ipswich High School. Ipswich has shaped me, the teams have shaped me, and this community has shaped me. And I'm very proud to be a Tiger, and I'm very proud to share this moment with Molly. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Our next inductee is Molly Berry Knowles, again introduced by Mandy Zagorowski. Come on up, Mandy.
This is my last one of the night, I swear. So, as I mentioned earlier, with with Megan being injured the first year, I think Molly coming in, I knew she was because of watching her play sports again growing up. I knew she was a phenomenal athlete, really aggressive, so much energy. It's hard because you want to talk about them, the twins, individually, but at the same time, the dynamic of them is really neat. It's really special. They're incredibly close. And with Megan kind of being a quiet type of leader, leading by example, always like saying and doing, things that you want to, like, as a coach, you're like, oh, should have thought of that. Molly's also right there, but in a very aggressive, outgoing way. I had a couple of memories when I was thinking of them and coaching them. When there was a time when Megan was, she was getting guarded pretty tightly and she was just getting bumped around, and obviously after already being injured, and I was, complaining to the ref, which I never do, everyone knows that. And I remember Megan was at the foul line and she got hit pretty hard, and I was saying to the ref, can you just please watch it? She's hitting her and I can hear the other coach encouraging it, and Megan took her foul shot, the second one, and the ball was getting taken out of bounds. And on the way back, Molly, who was so long, lengthy, like this great athlete, sprinted down the court. And I saw her going towards the girl that fouled Megan, not her man. And she screamed out loud, "Don't worry, Megan, I got it." And the next thing I know, the girl was clotheslined, went flying up in the air. And before the ref he blew the whistle, before he said a word, she just put her hand up and said, "Yep, that was me." So it was a neat dynamic watching them. Molly was just contagious. Her energy's so contagious. I would ask her to guard the other team's best player. Didn't matter who we were playing, didn't matter if she was a guard, a forward, a center. Molly could, she could be physical, she could box out. And I think, what she was doing offensively was, at times, underestimated. She may not have been, our top scorer, but she always was there. She was getting offensive rebounds. She could score. She could get to the basket off of a layup. She just did things naturally without putting a lot of time into her game. So to get her to play the way that she played without training and spending as much time with the basketball shows what just an incredible athlete that she is. And then you combine that with a work ethic while she was playing it, because once she had a ball in her hands, when she stepped into practice, she was an incredibly hard worker. And again, that was a trait that I knew was going to translate into her life, which was so fun watching. I did go watch her play field hockey, I watched her play softball, and for her to be able to play all 3 sports at the level that she did and accomplish what she did is pretty amazing. It was really special, and I was so happy to be able to be a part of it, to be a part of the fact that they, with all their teammates and friends, were both so big on culture, so big on team, so big on the things that really mattered. And if at any point I got a little, too game orientated, like we have to do this, we have to do that, they often would remind me, just with the basic hard work and basic like team, let's come together, like they would remind me exactly what matters. And Molly was really special. She was vocal. She was always cheering, and I could think back then, I didn't really value it or understand it as much as I do now, and as time went on, as I continued to coach, because it was but very early on in my first few years coaching varsity, how important that is. And I think when you go without it, you start to realize it, how her voice and her encouraging and her let's go and her pointing and saying you take her and I'll take her and constantly talking, and just what an asset that is in so many ways in a team sport. So for me personally, for basketball, she was incredible. I feel, again, so fortunate to have her. We won a lot. We did a lot of things that felt really good at the time. And then when we did lose and we had some heartaches, some buzzer beaters and things like that, the way that they came together afterwards with, Molly being, again, that vocal voice of we're going to be okay, we're good, we worked hard, and again, reminding everybody how we got there was pretty incredible. And I know for other sports, for field hockey and for softball, she was, really, again, fun to watch. A high goal scoring field hockey player that just pursued the ball, pursued her teammates, made the right pass. Definitely could have, if she ever focused on one, she could have taken that sport probably very, very far. And I think it's great, and it shows her involvement in the community. And I think overall what Ipswich gives to players that are here, that sense of community and how being a part of something bigger is pretty special. So congratulations, Molly, very well earned.
Good evening, everyone. It's truly an honor to stand before you today as an inductee into the Ipswich Athletic Hall of Fame. I'm incredibly humbled to be recognized alongside so many talented athletes who have left their mark on the Ipswich High School and beyond. Growing up in Ipswich, sports were more than just games, they were a way of life. I was fortunate to share that journey with my teammates, coaches, family, and especially my twin sister, Megan. Whether it was on the field hockey field, together on the basketball court, or on the softball diamond, we pushed each other to be better every single day, and we had a lot of fun doing it. Sports don't just build athletes, they build character. Every practice teaches hard work, every challenge demands determination, and every season proves that true success comes from unwavering commitment. Through field hockey, basketball, and softball, I learned resilience and discovered the strength that would shape every part of my life. But tonight isn't just about the sports we played, it's about the people. The teammates who became lifelong friends, many of whom are here tonight. The coaches who believed in us, the community that cheered us on, and my family, especially my parents, who supported every dream. Now my husband and our 2 children are my biggest fans, and they show me every single day why teamwork, dedication, and love truly matters. Ipswich gave me the foundation to grow, not just as an athlete, but as a person. And for that, I'm forever grateful. Thank you to the Hall of Fame committee for this incredible honor, and congratulations to all the inductees on this well-deserved recognition. Go Tigers.
All right, next on our agenda to be inducted will be Mel McFadden, introduced by Tim Sidmore. Is Mel here?
Yeah, she's over here. I'm Tim. Then.
Oh, okay.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, so come on. Just get down to there, I hope. There you go.
Alrighty, thank you. It's really a privilege and an honor to be here among so many colleagues and coaches and former students, most of whom passed my class on their first try, so good to see you again. But really I'm here to talk about Mel, not my former students, although she was one. I wouldn't be here at all, I should start by saying, if it wasn't for Coach Spellman and Coach Welch, who cornered me after a track meet and said, "You need to coach." And I said, "Okay, no problem." And when they told me to do something, I just did it, like most of you. When I got my team roster from Tom Gallagher, I started asking around about the names on the list. I wanted to know what I was in for, because I knew some of the kids from my classes, but I didn't know much about their athletic ability. I remember asking Gardy in the lower gym office. I was picking his brain because I wanted to know what had made him successful as a coach. I had only coached middle school basketball before this, and I needed some advice. As we were talking about coaching, the challenges, the rewards, the logistics, he talked about doing your best with whoever you get and just let them play, teaching them to push, recognizing when a kid has something and they don't know it. We worked through the list of names, and when we came to Mel, he said, some kids have it, some kids don't. That one's a warrior. She won't let you down. Later, I asked Mickey McVan the same questions, and she had similar thoughts. She said, Mel, she's awesome. You won't have to push her. She'll push herself. As always, Gardy and Mick were both right. This little freshman Mel immediately earned the respect of her coaches and teammates. She carried herself with a quiet strength and confidence. She practiced with focused intensity and competed fiercely. She showed me that warrior spirit Gardy mentioned every time she ran. Wobbly legs crossing the finish line and all. And this carried through all her years with me with remarkable consistency, which is why I think she was so good. Consistency. In every workout, she showed up with a positive attitude, whether she was pushing through our dreaded pyramid workouts, lagging through warm-ups and cool-downs. We had a conflicting stretching philosophy with Coach Spellman, too. Or waiting for the bus with her rap music turned up loud. She was always disciplined, respectful, and kind to her teammates. She became a reliable team captain, a committed student, at least in my English class, and a leader with a quiet and powerful presence. Well, maybe not so much the quiet part, but she always set a great example when her feet hit the track. I think what matters to me most in all this is how humble and graceful she is about her accomplishments. Here's a few, and the rest are in the program, but I'll just go over the high school stuff. She was a track team MVP 3 times, track captain, soccer captain, multiple state championship bids in track and soccer, undefeated record in the 600-meter run, a school record holder in the 4x800 meter run, multiple top 10 places at state level and elite meets, multiple undefeated seasons in the 4x400 relay. That was my favorite one to watch. All-state, all-league nominations, Salem News Athlete Awards, and Bay State Games 400 hurdles record holder for many years. So I'm going to skip over the college stuff. Although her athletic accomplishments speak for themselves, what really amazes me is that I cannot remember a single time I felt let down by Mel. Well, maybe only once for her taste in music. Kanye was in the mix, if I remember correctly. And the occasional high school dating drama, all that stuff, that came with the territory. In all seriousness, though, what I remember most about Mel is her relentlessness, not just as an athlete, but as a young person of great character. That to me is the most important thing, the most rewarding thing about being a coach, even though my tenure was brief. We get to be part of someone's story and help them strive for greatness. Now, years later, it's been such a pleasure to work alongside Mel in the same district. She's returned to the place she once gave so much to through sports, and she brings the same drive, work ethic, and kindness she demonstrated as a student to her job as an adult. In doing so, she models for our community what it means to give back and what it means to serve. Mel's record on the track is impressive for her times, her record performances, her presence in practices and meets, but to me, even more impressive is the person she's become and remains. I believe she richly deserves this induction into the Hall of Fame, so please help me congratulate her.
Evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here tonight. Growing up in Ipswich and now raising my family here has left my heart so full. This community has always made me feel celebrated and supported. To the committee and everyone who made tonight happen, thank you. I know how many hours go into planning this event, and I want you to know that these acknowledgments truly give the next generation of Tigers something to dream towards. When I look back at my high school career, I don't remember every time or score, but I remember the early mornings, the freezing practices, the racerback tan lines, the long bus rides, the laughter, the tears, and the moments I was told, "You've got more in you, go again." I remember the people who pushed me, supported me, and believed in me long before I believed in myself. I want to start off by recognizing some of my former teammates. As a freshman coming to my first indoor track practice, I was nervous and excited. I've been running competitively since I was about 10, but I usually trained alone. And by alone, I mean with my dad. From day one, I was welcomed with open arms. The captains and upperclassmen created such a supportive, inclusive atmosphere and set the standard for how I viewed team environments ever since. To my teammates, you are such a huge part of this journey. We pushed each other, challenged each other, and made each other better, not just as athletes, but as people. You taught me how powerful it is to have people beside you who want to see you succeed. I want to share a memory that taught me a lot about pride, humility, and sportsmanship. And this one really ties together my soccer world and my track world in high school. During my junior year in soccer, we faced Georgetown in the state quarterfinals. It was especially meaningful because Ipswich and Georgetown competed together for indoor and outdoor track. So I knew I had current and future teammates on the other side of the field. After a full regulation game and 2 overtimes, it was still 0-0. Then we went to penalty kicks. After the first round of penalty kicks, the score was still tied, 3-3. Coach Manny then told me I would be taking the first sudden death penalty shot. I walked out repeating, "You can do this." And when the ball hit the back of the net, everyone was cheering. Georgetown missed their next shot and the game was over. But the best part came later. A few weeks afterwards, track started and those rivals became teammates. By senior year, I found myself driving to Georgetown to pick up those teammates for practice. By the end of my senior season, Coley, the same girl who had taken that final Georgetown shot, surprised me with concert tickets as a send-off gift. And yes, back in 2009, Taylor Swift was still only an opening act. It really showed me how sports can bring people together long after the scoreboard settles. Over my 12 seasons of IHS athletics, I learned more than I could ever list. That it's okay to forget how many laps a race is. Someone will eventually yell at you and tell you to stop. You can be entered into the slowest heat with no seed time and still fight your way to a 5th place finish. And that you can't control other people's actions, only your own. My coaches shaped me in ways I didn't fully understand until much later in life. Tim Sidmore, aka Sid, coached me for 6 seasons and taught us all about life as much as he taught us about track. He helped me gain perspective when I only saw things one way, and he reminded me gently that what seems easy to me isn't necessarily easy for everyone. As an English teacher, he helped me write my college essay about full circle moments, and this, Sid, is another one. I'm so grateful that you're here tonight. Gardy O'Flynn stepped in as my winter coach senior year. He opened the gym early so that I could run before school started, and he'd let me visualize races in the aerobics room during my teaching assistant period. His knowledge, positivity, and love for athletics were, and still are, unmatched. Ken Spellman, he is the one who taught me how to hurdle during my senior year. Senior year, the perfect time to introduce someone to a brand new event. His push led me to become not only the top 400-meter hurdler in the Cape Ann League, but become the top 400-meter hurdler in my college conference, and eventually become the hurdle coach for Ipswich track and field. I really wish that I could thank him tonight. At the end of the day, the biggest thanks I have is to my family. Mom, thank you for always being my loudest cheerleader and the ultimate team chauffeur. You also made so much pasta salad for the entire track team and so many peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for those long state meets. You and Dad also, for some reason, hosted a track dinner at our house with both the entire boys team and the entire girls team. And that was a big feat. We actually ran out of food, and my mom frantically called Pomodori's, asking them if they could deliver some more. My sisters, Steph and Shannon, thank you guys for traveling across the state so many times for my 60-second races and small coins. Molly, Nick, Kayla, I'm so grateful that you guys are here. And to my girls who aren't here tonight, because this night is for Mom, I hope you feel inspired to push yourselves and never, ever settle. And last but not least, Dad, thank you. Thank you for always waking me up early to get on the road for a race, even when I was grouchy. Thank you for somehow always knowing when I needed a push instead of a break, and when I needed that break instead of a push. You introduced the Ipswich High School track program to a number of invitationals that 20 years later we still compete at. You also introduced the team to laser timing systems. You taught me that in order to be the best, you have to compete with the best. You also never missed a race, even if it meant you were peeling into the parking lot, walking into the gym as I was walking up to the starting line. I could always count on you to be at the 300-meter mark of the 400-meter race, shouting, "Go Mel!" You showed me the importance of showing up and how once you're there, half the battle's done. Thank you for always showing up for me, whether it's on the track or in life. You instilled the belief in myself that I can do hard things and the assurance that there will always be support behind me. This Hall of Fame honor is equally for me as it is for you. Thank you to everyone who's been part of this journey, teammates, coaches, family, and this incredible community. To all the inductees, congratulations. It is a true honor to stand up here tonight as part of the member of the Ipswich Hall of Fame. Thank you, and go Tigers!
All right, our next induction will be for Constantine Galanis, who's going to be introduced by John Galanis. Yeah. Okay, Jan, it's all yours.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thanks, Rolly. Thank you to the organizers and the Hall of Fame committee for putting this great event together tonight. Congratulations to the inductees. You're the future and foundation of the athletes coming right behind us. I have the honor tonight to present and introduce you to my youngest son, Constantine, AKA Charlie, class of 2015. The wrestling tradition in Ipswich, as a lot of you know, started in the 1950s with Hall of Fame coach Bob Burke. He created the program, and it was the 14th program for wrestlers in the state of Massachusetts. Over the next few decades, you heard the families and brothers from the Camachos, the La Rochelles, and the championships they won over the years through the 60s. In 2005, Ipswich and Georgetown created a co-op team, and it was the start of a great decade for us. The first few years were tough. We forfeited half the matches. There were 14 weight classes at that time, and we were lucky to have 7 kids wrestle, whether we had not enough or a lot of injuries. And By the time the kids were 10 years later, when Charlie was a senior, we had 30 kids on the team. So it was a great decade, and it takes a decade to create a little dynasty. Similar to the 1960s, all the parents grew together, and we had a great travel program. Charlie's wrestling career started when he was in 3rd grade at the Herculean weight of 65 pounds. He would tag along with his older brother, Andrew, and go to the North Shore Wrestling Club practices over the Ipswich Town Hall. And Mike Curley, who was a state champ wrestler and Hall of Fame wrestler over at Hamilton Wenham, started the program there, and Bug LaRochelle started helping him out, bringing Ipswich students in, and then coaching Ipswich kids along with Mike for the next several years. When a wrestler experiences a loss, it brings out really their true character. Charlie came across that pathway many times at a real young age. When he made the New Englands in his junior year in high school, he was tied 4-4 going into the last period against the Vermont state champ. They were tied. Match over. No, there's something called overtime. First overtime, 4-4. Second overtime, 4-4. Third overtime, 4-4 still. They call it the ultimate ride-out when it's your third overtime. Unfortunately, the third was not Charlie's luck. Most athletes would be crushed by something like that. Charlie, without missing a beat, it was the New Englands, without missing a beat, he started coaching and cheering on the other kids from the Cape Ann League that made the New Englands down in Providence, Rhode Island, when we're all down there together. We once in a while listen to NCAA champs, and one of the inductees mentioned Syracuse tonight, and Gene Mills was an NCAA wrestling champ at Syracuse. And he once said, "No one will care how great a wrestler you are if you are a bad person." These wrestling years were for both our boys, they consumed our lives in such a positive way. And it's difficult to contain the emotions at times when I go back and think about the highs and the lows we experienced with the boys on the mats. In that time, our family traveled all around New England to different tournaments, to different camps, and we stay in touch even today with a lot of the friends we met during those times. Those wrestlers, they became a band of brothers. Tonight, one of Charlie's rumbling friends, Sean Kavanaugh, who's Andrew's age, came here to represent him as well. So it was a great bond. It's many years in the making, and it continues. Charlie's maturing continued under Coach Ryan Archibald, who's here tonight with us as well. He helped Charlie excel to another level that was beyond what everyone expected. Charlie's placed in the high school states each year. He wrestled at the New Englands. He had an undefeated regular season, winning the Cape Ann tournament his senior year with a 38-0 record. Over the course of his high school career, he was a 2-time Cape Ann champ, 2-time Northeast Conference champ, and 2-time academic All-American. To this day, no one has come close to his 157 career wins across 4 seasons wrestling for Ipswich and Georgetown. Charlie went on to wrestle at Worcester Polytech at 165-pound weight category. However, cutting weight in the grind of an engineering degree required him to shift gears after that first year of wrestling, and he took up rugby and became captain of the rugby team by his senior year. He never, once he started playing rugby, he never saw 165 again either. To this day, he continues to play rugby for the Old Colony men's rugby team in Southie. and he is employed by Turner Construction on one of the largest jobs in Boston right now, the $600 million project at the Harvard Alston campus. His title on that job is Chief of Party. With that said, I welcome my son Charlie Constantine to the stage.
That is a real job title. Good evening, everyone. My name's Constantine Galanis. It's with a deep sense of pride and gratitude that I accept this award tonight, and I congratulate all of the fellow inductees. I'd like to thank my family, friends, coaches, and teammates for joining me here tonight over at Table 2. In 6th grade, well, my dad said 3rd, but in 6th grade, I started wrestling. Mainly because I realized I wasn't good at basketball. Today I now know I'll never be good at basketball. The first tournament I wrestled in, I lost every match. I was devastated. I was unsure that I wanted to keep wrestling. When it came time to go to the state tournament that year, I didn't want to go. I threw a fit. But as my parents usually did, they sat me down and told me I made it a commitment and needed to see it through. I went to the tournament and had a blast. This commitment that I made that morning set in motion the next 6 years of my life. Every winter from 6th grade until my senior year, my entire life revolved around wrestling, as did my family's. Attending practice, dual meets, tournaments, watching my weight, tagging along to my brother's matches, and occasionally waking up at 5 a.m. panicked, running outside with 5 sweatshirts on just to sweat out the last half pound. Every other weekend, we loaded onto a bus at 6 a.m. and often didn't leave the tournament gym until 8 p.m. Wrestling wasn't just a commitment, it became a way of life. And through that way of life, teammates, parents, coaches, and even competitors became family. I would be remiss if I came up to the podium tonight and spoke only about myself, as wrestling demands everything from an individual: your time, discipline, strength, mental toughness. It demands just as much from the community around you. Your family, coaches, teammates, and everyone who supports you through that journey on the mat. Some of the most impactful moments in my middle school years came from attending my older brother Andrew's matches and tournaments, where I watched Andrew and his teammates win, lose, and bond with one another. I got to tag along the whole time, and instead of just being treated as Andrew's annoying little brother, I became everyone's annoying little brother. I truly began to grasp how much the sport meant to these guys when, after they all graduated, they would come back to practices just to get another lick on me. And eventually I was able to even the scoreboard against them. For my parents, this way of life meant making their own sacrifices, not just with their time, but with their lifestyles as well. Every day after practice, when my dad would pick me up, I would hop in the car, not say a word to him, and turn the heat all the way up. The temperature must have been unbearable, but I was trying to lose another pound. And he entertained my insanity. My mom always helped organize concession stands at dual meets and tournaments to make sure everyone on the team was fed. Arguably the most important role on any team. And no matter where we wrestled, I could always count on both my parents to be in the stands screaming their loudest. My coaches gave just as much, some of whom are here tonight. My freshman and sophomore years, Bug, who's here, and Coach Curley led our team. Coach Curley was famous for doing jumping jacks and push-ups in the corner of the mat, sometimes with more intensity than the wrestlers. Bug's dedication to the team was so great that he didn't even let a neck brace stop him from participating in practice with us. My junior year, Ryan Archambault took over as head coach. Coach Arch stepped in and held everyone to the same high standard previously held. He set clear expectations with everyone on the team and pushed us to be better wrestlers and people as well. I want to thank my teammates and friends who not only pushed me to be a better wrestler, but always managed to keep a serious sport fun. The early mornings and late nights in sweat-soaked gyms would have meant nothing if I didn't have a group of smiling faces to share them with. Wrestling is often thought of as an individual sport, two athletes in the arena facing off against one another. But those of us who lived it know the truth. Even though you walk onto the mat alone, no one truly wrestles alone. Behind every wrestler is a family in the stands and a team of friends rooting for you. Tonight, I share this honor with everyone who supported me throughout my journey and helped me become the person who stands in front of you today. Thank you again to the Ipswich Hall of Fame Committee, and thank you to everyone who played a part in my career.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you. Is Ryan Ash involved?
Yeah, he's here.
Doc here?
Gray hair. You see the guy with the big red beard?
Okay.
He's to the right.
Okay. We'll have to ask, was he George Town guy? I'll come over.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Get ready, folks. Let's bring up Mel Bowen, introduced by Drew Weil.
Bueller. I'll be brief because Mel, he dwindled his speech down to, I think it's 37 minutes, so it won't be bad. If you look in your program on the front page, it says the town of Ipswich is unique in its support for Ipswich athletics. And Mel is the epitome of that. You see in his biography there, it starts in '68 when he started doing a little bit of announcing here and there, and it says it kept him out of trouble, which basically says it kept him out of the 498, which is a good thing. And then he became just the ultimate voice for the Tigers, but so much more than that. The passion that he put into the sports and the love that he showed the kids, even when the score wasn't going in our favor, Mel was there for the kids constantly. And he is Ipswich. He is the epitome of Ipswich. And Bobby Foote, you mentioned all those names, all those nicknames and everything. But if you went to, the Amish country in Pennsylvania and you said, hey, do you know Mel? I guarantee they're going to say, yeah, we know him. Yeah, we know Mel. He's one of those guys, where it's just Ipswich and you mention Mel and it's going to be there. And to leave you with this, I mean, he could get on a plane tomorrow and go to Naples and go to his favorite watering hole and he'll be just happy as a pig in shit. He really would be. But instead, he's going to hang around and come to the Ipswich football banquet next week because he wants to be there for the kids. So even though he is retired as the voice of the Tigers, I highly doubt it because Mel he's one of those guys that always has to be around. So it's with great pleasure to introduce the one and only Mel.
You got a whole notebook?
It's all just 37 minutes.
37 minutes.
You got a notebook and everything?
I can't remember everything. I'm 73.
Here we go.
All right, which one's not gonna happen? All right. I just like to, start. I wish my mother and father were here, and my brother David, and I know they're looking down, and they'd be very proud of me, and I'm very, very excited about this. And Patty, thank you for just being there.
Get the glasses on.
Get them out. I can't get them out of the thing. First, I would like to thank the committee for this great honor. Also, congratulations to all of tonight's inductees, all who spent time sweating and grunting and getting hit on the field and wrestled on a mat and basketball court, and all I did was sit at a microphone, and I'm standing up here with you guys. Great honor to be up here with you guys. I had such a great time doing this when I first started. When I first started doing this, we were on the 50-yard line in the bleachers. We had a great team up there. Had Ricky Hazen as my spotter, Pete Bruni, scoreboard and time clock operator. And some of you, most of you will probably remember the late Angie Perna, who was up there with us. And one night it was, Angie did, what was it back then? It wasn't ICAM, it was something else. ACP Sports. Anyway, he would do that. And, pouring rain one night, absolutely torrential downpour. And he comes with a big canvas and says, "Oh, look at this. He's going to take care of us tonight." He put it over him. Me and Ricky and Pete were just soaked. It was unbelievable. Anyway, that was Angie. That was good stuff. In 2014, we moved to the new press box. It was a lot nicer in there. And for long, we had reporters joining us: Dan Harrison, Phil Stacy, Gene Duplessis, to name a few. It's some pretty good times in there. Like when Pentucket came to town for the first time in a few years. This was in the time where the Native American stuff was going, and I wasn't really paying attention. Almost the entire game, I referred to Pentucket as the Sachems. With about 90 seconds to play, Jean Placido advised me she had just talked to her boss on the phone from the Salem News, and they had changed their name to the Panthers. I didn't know. I mean, after the game, I went down and I apologized to the coach. I said, "Oh my God, I didn't know." And he says, "It's all right. We kind of enjoyed that." Even the superintendent said, "I kind of liked it." So anyway, it was okay. I mean, I made it, but it was an honest mistake. There was also some tough times. Night against Newburyport, when our scoreboard operator Pete Bruni had a heart attack in the booth. The team trainer Kelly Michaels, she got up there, got her over there, and she took over and got the paramedics there and got Pete to the hospital. He was in a hospital for 4 or 5 days, but he made a full recovery, and he was very grateful that all the help that he had. Then started with a athletic director and assistant athletic director, Tom Gallagher and Nicole LaRoche. Getting me team rosters, getting whatever I needed, they got me to start with. And the coaches we worked with, Rolly Hinckley, Ted Flaherty, Greg Brotherton, Kevin Facette, and Zach Lampkin. They were always helpful and great to work with. And most importantly, working with the boosters, Scott Lavassa, Bill Yanakakis, Dan and Janet Perro, Kathy and Ted Spinelli. In the last 4 years with Robert and Drew Weil. And it's really been a ride with them. And they had an awful lot of help too. All the girls working the snack shack, merchandise table, and the 50-50 raffle, and Robin made sure everything got done. We had good communication. We did well. They always got us what we needed to announce: the menu, halftime activities, winning 50-50 number. Also, the opposing coaches who gave me correct pronunciations of some players' names, which by the spell, and I had no clue how the hell to say it. And also the referees who we had to communicate with on calls, and Pete working with the official timekeeper on the field. But most of all, last but not least, it was about the kids that played their hearts out on the field. They gave it their all. I mean, they gave it all. We didn't have a whole lot of winning seasons in the last 17, 18 years, but we had a lot of heart. These guys got out there and they gave it 200% every single night, every single game, I should say. Some of the players, I just want to mention a few names, Steve Faniff, Alex McCarthy, John Elnagar, Aaron Jessen, the Gillis brothers, Charlie, Pat, Jack, John Eldridge, Matt Small, Eddie Flaherty, Jimmy Cadogan, Pete Matavelis, Robbie Glavin, Matt Carey, Curtis Lavasa, Vinnie Martineau, Jake Long, Ben Yanakakis, Alex Yanakakis, Cam James, the Parrow brothers, Luke Weil, Hank Lattarella, Vin Winter, and back a few years, Nikhil Webb Walker, who's now playing Division I for Colorado under primetime Deion Sanders. So that's a pretty good thing out of Ipswich. A couple of games I want to mention. The game where we ended a long losing streak, I can't remember, it was either 2009 or 2010. I think we'd lost like 25 games in a row, 26 games in a row. Thanksgiving Day, and we beat Hamilton. I believe the final score was 14-13. Hamilton scored with about 20 seconds to play, and they went for two, and we held them. And those kids were so happy, I never saw Teddy Flaherty so happy in 3 years as he was that night. That day, I should say. And another game I want to mention, it was also against Hamilton. It was during the fall 2 season, during COVID. And Hamilton and Ipswich were both undefeated coming in. Back and forth they went. This game was an incredible game. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We took a lead with a couple of minutes left, and then the Generals were driving inside the 10 when a kid named Elijah Day intercepted a pass to seal the victory. The place went absolutely berserk, led by me. It was absolutely nuts. Anyway, the Tigers ended up winning the Cape Ann League Baker Division. And one other thing too, I really enjoyed interacting with all the parents of the players. It was really enjoyable doing that. I also did the public address for boys basketball for many years and girls basketball for a few years. Enjoyed working with Alan LaRoche for the boys and Chris Tolios for the girls. One thing I wanted to mention, one game that stands out to me was a game in 2016. We were playing Rockport in Ipswich. And this game was unbelievable, back and forth, and it was rough. These kids were banging each other, hitting each other. Referee stopped it a couple times to give warnings because these guys were really giving it their all. It was unbelievable. But what happened during that game didn't compare to what happened after the game. And I've asked this young man if it would be okay for me to tell his story, and he said that it would be okay. And he's sitting right over there. His name is Liam Sullivan. Stand up, Liam. Stand up. Now, Liam was a junior or senior that year, Liam? Junior. I couldn't remember. But anyway, as some of you know, some of you don't. Liam lost his mother to cancer when he was 12 or 13 years old. And that night, after that game, there was a young man from Rockport whose mother had cancer, and she was in tough shape. This kid went over to the Rockport locker room, sat down with this kid and gave him words of encouragement and gave him, really, really helped him out. And that's sportsmanship doesn't get any better than that. He just did it, and Liam, you're all right, buddy. I did one playoff game for boys lacrosse over at Endicott College. Tom Gallagher asked me to do it, and I told him, I said, Tom, I know nothing about this sport. Nothing. He still wanted me to do it. I remember we were playing Pentucket. It was a big game, because if we won it, we got into the Final Four. And we did win it. We ended up winning it. In fact, I think we won the championship that year. I think we did. And so I'm up there. There was two people in the booth, myself, and thank God he was there, Phil Stacy from the Salem News. He told me everything to say, and that's how I made it through that. And that was the only time I ever got paid for announcing a game. It was a state game. They gave me $40. Whoa, man. I couldn't believe it. But I never wanted to get paid. I mean, I love doing this stuff. On which was supposed to be my final game last Thanksgiving, Robin and her team had a giant picture of me on top of the snack shack. The day before, it was on the wall in the Mayflower. And it was really, really nice. I was really, happy with it. And at the end of the third quarter, Robin had a microphone. I didn't know about this, and wherever she was standing, she could hear her voice, and she announced my name and said that it was my last game. And I received a standing ovation. It really meant so much. People were just clapping, and I was very, very happy. Even a few of the Hamilton coaching staff came in the booth and congratulated me and told me how much they enjoyed coming to Ipswich and stuff. I also had members of my family in the booth with me, including two of my grandchildren. It's really meant a lot to me. And being asked to come back this year to do senior night was absolutely an honor. And I was with these kids for the whole 4 years. I guess I could do that senior night. And then Dave Drown didn't want to do it the next two games. Something happened. He couldn't do them, so I ended up doing them anyway. So, what the heck? It was fun. But it was always fun to do that. And really, that's about it. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of this program for all these years. It was a great honor. Thank you very much.
And of course, you're doing Dr. King.
There you go.
Wear that down Florida.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Okay. Next, we're going to introduce the girls' basketball team from 1981 to 1981-82. Going to be introduced by the coaches, Dr. Kiki Papajotis and Kathy Daly. No. Well, come up and stand with us. No?
Bob wants you to say something about the silent auction.
All right.
Bob wants you to say something about the silent auction.
Oh, I need to remind, my boss is down back there, Bobby, he's telling me, there's a silent auction tonight. Don't forget to put in your bid, okay? Last call. Celtics tickets, Bruins tickets, and a golf foursome at Turner Hill. Okay. All right, Dr. Kiki's up.
Whoa, baby.
Good evening. Before I get started talking about the team, I want to say something about Sandy. I was a freshman. Sandy was a junior. Annie Trask, Hall of Famer, and myself, we made the varsity team as freshmen, right? We thought we were like studs, cool, We come out there, and the coach at that time was Jan Gibbons, and she said, all right, you got to bat against our varsity pitcher, Sandy Leeson. I'm like, "Ah, piece of cake, right? I get up there, right? 1, 2, 3. Jan Gibbons goes, "You're either batting first or ninth," and I think you're batting ninth, right? There you go. Sandy was awesome. She took us under her wing. She let us through this. This was 66 for me. I'm dating myself, right? But Sandy was a mentor to us. Remember, this was all pre-Title IX. So that being said about softball, so let's go to the team, okay? It's a privilege and an honor for me as the coach to introduce the 81-82 championship basketball team. Looking back at that season, most of the press and some locals thought that the team would be too young and inexperienced to carry on the winning legacy of girls basketball success at Ipswich High School. After all, the team had lost 4 out of 5 starters from the 81-82, from the previous championship team to graduation. Most of the current team had limited experience on the varsity, and some had even come up from the JV. The 81-82 players were well aware that both the press and some followers had expressed their low expectations for the season. They were labeled by a North Shore sports reporter from the Salem News, that they were referred to as the Green Tigers. However, the girls took this in stride, and although they were inexperienced, they believed in themselves, and they exuded Tiger pride. They prepared for the season one game at a time. They were smaller in stature than previous teams, but they were quick and very disciplined. And oh yes, they played great D. The 81-82 season opened with decisive victories over Triton and Manchester. Each game found them growing in confidence. They were playing shutdown defense while learning to gel offensively, and they trusted each other. Although they dropped 3 very competitive games during the regular season, they came back more determined. A successful CAL Western Division swing during the second half of the regular season proved to be the final impetus for success. Unfortunately, the team received a significant blow when co-captain Steph Ray suffered a significant knee injury in February. Sorry, Steph, I had to bring it up. Once again, the team rallied and ran the table for the remainder of the regular season. They were peaking at the right time, and hopes were high for the MIA state tournament. Then came another obstacle. Due to the enactment of Proposition 2.5, remember that? Maybe some people do. The MIAA, in its infinite wisdom, decided to cut the state tournament back 2 games, forcing all sports teams to end postseason at the regional level, like it would have broke the bank, right? The girls were disappointed but undaunted. They regrouped and went on to win the Division III North State Regional Finals in dominant fashion. I would be remiss not to mention that this young, inexperienced Tiger team that finished 18-3 overall fostered the development of 4 future Hall of Famers. Mo Bowen, I'm not going to do Mary Days, I'm sorry. Okay. Jean Clarkin, Kathy Gagnon, and Krista Chico. Let me introduce that team right now. Those in attendance tonight. Co-captain, Maureen Bowen, Hall of Famer. Come on up, Mo. Co-captain, Stephanie Ray. Kathy Gagnon. Hall of Famer. Don't read it. Can you read it? Okay. Krista Chico, Hall of Famer. Leslie McLaughlin. She's taller than she was in high school. On the heels, all right. Michelle LeCount. Manager Chris High, Hall of Famer in track. Hey, give me. Unable to attend this evening, Gene Clarkin, Hall of Famer. Chris Knowlton, who's in California. Andrea Chisholm, who's in Florida. Karen Sukash in Florida. And our other manager, MJ Politz, who's in Oregon. This team is special to me because nobody expected anything from them. And they did it with their will, determination, and that tiger pride. I want to introduce to you right now the co-captains, Mo Bowen and Stephanie Ray.
Thanks, Vic. So 43 years is a long time. The details of games, plays, and challenges have faded, but what remains in all of us are the feelings and emotions we experience together. As I receive feedback from my teammates about this night, recurring themes emerged: resilience, camaraderie, hard work, and fun. We enjoyed each other as we blasted Jay Giles and collectively suffered through running sprints in practice. There was no drama, no star. We truly won and lost together, learning from every game. None of us were starters from the previous season, but we learned from those who came before us, led with our hearts, and learned on the job. Our success wasn't flashy, and it wasn't expected by others. Listening and respecting each other's roles and efforts defined us as a team, players and coaches alike. Have no doubt, all of us took those lessons forward into our adult lives. Discipline, teamwork, and supporting others are things we practice daily. We are all grateful for the recognition tonight and hope others can take away something positive from our success.
As Mo says, this goes back a while, 43 years. That's crazy. It was a great team, and I think we'd all get back on the court together if we could.
If my knees let it.
Yeah. On paper, we might not have been the strongest team, but that's where great coaching and passion come into play, and we had both of that. We worked well as a team because we had one goal in mind, and that was winning and keeping the Ipswich High School girls' basketball dynasty alive. It was not going to die with us, not at all. We initially, after we lost our games, we learned from our mistakes, as Kiki mentioned, and we went on to win the remainder of the season. We listened, we sweated through Sunday practices, and we continued to grow as a team. But I really can't say it loud enough, hard enough, and enough at all. And it was really the great coaching that we received. The intense preparation, the strategizing, the scouting of other teams, that's what really brought out the best in us. It was hard work, it was discipline, it was teamwork, but it really was a lot of fun. We'd like to recognize all the other inductees today and congratulate you. And as a team, we'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee. We'd like to thank Kiki, Mickey, who's not here, John Thomas, Elliot Roundy, Joe Rogers, all who played a pivotal part in our team structure, the boys' high school team that was with us throughout this, our supportive townspeople, that was a great following, our manager, Chris High, who was there with us, our parents, our friends, for all their support, their coaching, discipline, guidance on and off the court, and their steadfast belief in the team. So thank you all. It was really great.
Oh, sure. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I just want to mention one thing. Kiki had mentioned that the Salem News had called us the Green Tigers, at the beginning of the year. And one thing that I vividly remember is before we went up against St. Mary's, I don't know if it was our final game, St. Mary's coach referred to us as the Boston Celtics. He felt like he was going up against the Boston Celtics, and I remember that to this day.
Well, can I say one thing really fast?
Thank you.
Just really quick, unrelated to the basketball team. I grew up in the 70s down on the Neck, and I lived across the street from Sandy Leazon. And I just want to say that it wasn't until this evening that I became fully aware of the full extent of the scope of her athletic prowess. And had I had this intel 50 years ago, I would have marched myself across the street, climbed up her front step, knocked on the door, and asked her if she could come out and play.
Okay, I'm all we've all been waiting for. We want to introduce the boys' 2004-2005 state champion boys basketball team to be introduced by Al LaRoche. Steve Lamson. What else? That's it?
Coming up.
Okay, here they are.
Thank you. And I'm Steve Lamson. That's Alan LaRoche. And thank you for staying through this long evening, for all these well-deserved awards and all the great words we've heard. Before we introduce the players for this team, I'm going to offer a few comments about the central character in this whole play, and that is Doug Woodworth. And hearing Jimmy Bodwell earlier reminded me of a story. When Doug was ill and in hospice, he was visited by a lot of former players, which was testament to the impact he had. And one day I happened to be there when Jimmy and Eric both came. And I don't know if they remember this, but as an example of Doug's legendary sense of humor, we were talking, and Jimmy was telling Doug about what he was up to recently, and talking about how he was still playing basketball, loving it, and he was playing a lot of defense. And Jimmy was a fabulous basketball player, a scorer, a pure scorer. Sometimes you talk about basketball players who are shooters, and others are scorers. Jimmy could score. But he was talking about still playing, and he was really concentrating on his defense. And Doug turned to me and said, "I know I'm on a lot of medications right now, but I could have sworn he said he was playing defense." Doug was named the varsity basketball coach in 1994. And on the advice of our mutual friend, Chip Nyland, Doug asked me to be his assistant and the JV basketball coach. And that first year was challenging, to say the least. We had an interesting collection of characters, none of whom I think are here tonight, hopefully. Wins were few and far between. And frankly, I wasn't very much help, honestly. I had no experience with high school age kids. My boys were still very young. I had never coached before, other than as a player coach in a college intramural team. And these players, to me, they might as well have been creatures from another planet. I had no idea how to deal with these people. But right away, it was obvious to me that Doug did. He had an amazing ability to connect with these kids. And it was obvious from the beginning that he cared so much about them. He was patient, he was positive, and he was frustrated, but he didn't show it to them. And he never gave in to that frustration. He never gave up. He worked right till the end. In the following years,
There were highs and lows. There were league championships, tournament appearances, and there were also some tough seasons with, again, not too many wins. Justin's freshman year, we often went out onto the court starting Justin as a freshman and 4 sophomores, and we took our lumps. We had some 30, 40-point maybe losses, but they kept plugging away, and Doug saw that, he could see what was coming down the road. He stayed the same throughout. He never punched the clock. He came to the gym every day dedicated to getting the best out of the players he had. He would connect with them with his humor, of course, his legendary humor. He had enthusiasm. He could get angry. He would yell at them. He would give his classic Jeepers Creepers, which would halfway through move into a falsetto when he would lose his voice. But he was never mean-spirited. He was never personally degrading to any player that I ever saw. He loved the players, and they knew it, and he was, after all, one of them. 10 years after it began, Doug's coaching journey brought him to this championship team we're recognizing tonight. And I have to say that when that game at the Boston Garden, I still call it the Boston Garden, ended, and Doug hoisted that trophy, as a lifelong Tiger, a player and a coach, on a team led by his son, well, I felt that I was witnessing a person experiencing pure happiness. It was hard-earned and well-deserved. Doug was inducted into this Hall of Fame for his own accomplishments as an individual athlete and a coach, and he coached many sports over a long period of time with a lot of success. But I dare say that going in as a part of this team would probably mean just as much to him, if not more. And with that, I'll turn it over to Alan to introduce the team.
This team's a special team. I'm just going to take a moment. I've heard a lot about community and how Ipswich has a strong base community, and I'm a Vermonter. And just adding on to Steve, Doug took me in, made me the freshman coach early on, and brought me into his family. Played some cards with him over the years with Mr. Lampropoulos back there around his card table, and just instantly was going to the Choate Bridge pub with him after games and having chicken broccoli pizza. But yeah, Doug was a special person. This team was legendary. They possess the makeup that every championship team has. The group really enjoyed being around each other on and off the court. They spent a lot of time off the court together. Practices were a battle, and good teams' practices are hard, and they battled every single day. Each player wanted to be the best version of themselves on the basketball court. That made them special. They all accepted their roles and played well off of each other. They knew the talent they had and always kept the eye on the prize. They always had an answer to the other team's run. But really, back at the banquet in 2005, Gabe Taylor summed up this team pretty well. So I'm going to let Gabe do the talking right now. I'm going to try my best. Gabe raps. I don't know if I can do that. I really don't. But when you hear your name, gentlemen, I'd like you to come on up here. Okay? There are D1 teams I feel you could have ranked with over 40 wins in a matter of 2 seasons. The Tigers ain't state champs for no reason. Most of you got a good-looking shot, but some were obscene. The most important part was you played as a team. And yet a good team is kind of rare, but you did it, from the sneakers to the low-cut hair. When a team came to Roundy, you kicked their butts. I've got to give you congrats. You're like the Sox and Pats. You're champions. 14 good men, 14 dozen more if you counted the Tiger Den. So Patrick Barton is the first on roll call. He's the man every game. He's in the stands making sure the fans get as wild as they can. Next on the list is my man James. He is the PG, so he runs the game. He has the vision on the court and the hoop, whether he's dunking or throwing other people oops. Where would we be without Dickie P's hustle? Same question about C-Tone's muscle. Adam replaced his brother from the past, and Chris came up to varsity when Sean was in the cast. Adam's not here. Ryan taught us all that height doesn't matter. Standing at 5'6", he left the crowd flattered. We will never forget the game at G-Town when the real quick Nick knocked 5 threes down. Nick's not here tonight. They see Steve and think, can a geek jump? Then 5 minutes later, they were watching the freak dunk. He helps fill the stands 3 times a week, and every time he touches the ball, we yell, freak! You guys know how to score and get back, but the best defender was Tom or T-Mac. You need a shooter, then get the seniors, Phil and T. You can put them anywhere, and they'll hit the shot for 3. Next on the list is the dunker named Dude. Not to be rude, but he's my favorite, personal favorite. Had to say that. Last, but definitely not least, is Woody. He couldn't really get much better now, could he? Not only could he dunk, but he was the king of trifectas. If the ball leaves his hand, the ball is going in, I bet you. 90% of the game, Woody is like this. And 90% of those times, he didn't miss. If you're on the team, well, they're already standing up. Everyone give the state champs a round of applause. So passing this off over to the 3 captains, Justin, James, and Muscle Man.
Good evening, everyone. Coaches, family, friends, alumni, and teammates. Standing here tonight is something none of us imagined back when we were lacing up in that old locker room. Being inducted into the Ipswich Hall of Fame is an incredible honor. For me, it's not just about the wins, but the people, the moments, and the lessons that we learned long after the final buzzer. I remember the bus rides, the nerves before the big games, the laughs, the music, and the times we fell short and decided to come back stronger. We weren't just a team, we were a family. To our coaches, you guys set the standard, you pushed us. believed in us, and taught us lessons that went way beyond basketball. Those lessons allowed us to live our lives in very different ways. We're grateful more than you know. To our families, this moment is yours too. You were the rides, the support system, the voice in the stands, whether we were up 20 or down 20. You believed in us long before we believed in ourselves. Thank you. To Ipswich High School and to the community of Ipswich, thank you for giving us a place to grow and represent something bigger than ourselves. Life has taken us in a lot of different directions since 2005, but one thing never changes. We came together as kids, trusted each other, and achieved something unforgettable, and that bond always lasts. We didn't just win a championship, we built a legacy and lifelong connection. I'm proud to stand here with all you tonight. Thank you, Ipswich, for this honor and for believing in us.
When I was first asked to write something up for the program, I wasn't really sure really where to begin. So the first thing I did was starting reading about some of the past teams that were inducted into the Hall of Fame. And as I started reading some of these, there was a common denominator with every one of them, and a lot of them were heavily focused on some of the notable players. It was a lot of the achievements of some of those individuals. And when I think about the success that this team had, we certainly had plenty of firepower looking at the guys behind me, but that's not how I remember the team. I mean, just the fact that we have 12 of us up here, I think, speaks to the bond that we have and have always had. A few years ago, where's Alan? A couple of years ago, you had asked if we could come scrimmage the team over break, and in a matter of minutes, I think we had 10 guys that were ready to come down to the high school and scrimmage the team. And we walked into this gym, I'm sure, thinking we were going to roll these kids. And it actually, first few minutes, it went the other way. I think they hit 4 or 5 threes in a row, and we're all huffing and puffing and kind of looked at each other like, all right, we got to get going here. This is
they were actually saying, who's Justin Woodworth?
Yeah. So that, yeah, they found out pretty quick. That reversed course pretty quick. But where I was going with that is at a certain point, while we went on a little bit of a run, one of the players on your team, who's a really good player, was probably the best player at the time, he turned to me and he goes, are you guys running plays? And no, we weren't. We knew how to play with each other. And 15, 20 years removed from high school, we still know how to play with each other. And that's how I remember this team. And I think that's what really contributed to the success that we had. I also want to just mention too, thank you, family, friends, everybody in this room. It's unfathomable to think how many people used to come to our basketball games when we watched some of the highlight videos, look at some of the pictures back there. It's really you guys that made those memories for us. It's not the same not having that support system behind us. So thank you to everybody who played a part of that. These are some of the greatest memories of our lives, and you guys made it. So thank you.
Our state championship really was a community win. I remember looking up from the parquet floor of the garden and seeing Barton and the Tiger Den filling the entire lower bowl in that beautiful tiger orange. I honestly think the entire town was there that Monday for that championship game. But we all know the real big game was against Minutemen in the semifinals just a few days before. Winning that game and having all the fans storm the court will always be one of my favorite childhood memories. I wanted to recognize Mr. Nyland for scouting Minutemen on his way home from Boston after work multiple times. Even after his son graduated, he still went out to help the team just in case we might have faced them again, and come into that final practice and give us a rundown of what they were going to do. I also wanted to shout out the 2014. That year, we lost at the semifinals against that same Minutemen team. The seniors, Matty Lemire, Mark Nyland, Nick Lamson, Chris Mitchell, and Andrew Amon, we were prepared for that moment that the year we won, because you guys got us there the year before, and hope you guys know that win was just for you also. It really was such an amazing time in my life, and I'm so grateful for all my teammates and the Ipswich community for being part of it. I know Coach Woodworth is smiling down with us today. Dougie was a second father to me growing up. And I still get emotional looking at now that famous picture of him shedding that tear when we handed that state title to him. We love you, Coach Woodworth, and we miss you, and we thank you for everything you did with us. I thought it would be a great way to end the night with a few words from Coach Woodworth himself from our championship highlight video. Of course, it's not. Hold on a second. It was loaded like 2 seconds ago, but it should play. St. James boys, stain chips.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
It was great.
I know. I tried to do that. It's the funny thing I tried to get. Thanks, really good to see you too.
Hey.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Rowan.
All right.
Make sure you announce the silent auction. We'll have to put it on the table right over.
I have an announcement. We have winners. We have winners for the silent auction. Are you one of them? Let's hear. All right. Going to Turner Hill to play golf. Ashley Sotheby. Congratulations. Getting on the ice with the Boston Bruins. Bonnie Faniff. It's Bonnie. Yeah. Bonnie's here. Okay. And finally, continuing his winning streak for the Boston Celtics, Ruben Bread. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. Drive safely going home. Go Tigers!